Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Valiuco and welcome to Personal Pans, conversations about belief, transformation, and all the weird things that we experience. Today we've got a bonus episode with game designer and my friend Logan Dean. We recorded an episode I think 6 months ago, and the week I was going to release it, I got this weird stomach bug, could not be asked to do anything for a couple days, and then just didn't release it. But it has been on my mind for 6 months. Like, this was a wonderful conversation. It was nearly 3 hours long. What do I do with it? Now, thankfully, Logan is a very good game designer, and he has just been nominated for 2 Ennie Awards, which are awards for tabletop role-playing games. His game, Extraction from Demon-Fucked Cleveland, 1996, is up for 2 awards. Best Adventure Game and Best Free Online Game. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm releasing this to encourage all of you to vote for Logan. He does amazing work. He's an amazing guy. And this is just one excerpt from the conversation where he talks about growing up in a haunted house surrounded by occult literature. And I hope you enjoy his stories.
I don't know. We didn't talk about like magic at all. I guess
Cool
we
with
did
that.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Magic's weird.
Magic
I had like
is
a
weird.
whole I had like a whole story for you. Because like I have a whole like occult like backstory.
I know,
like,
and you have a haunted house you grew up in.
I grew up in a haunted house. It was haunted because it was full of occult shit.
I know,
like-
the battery.
It's fucking wild. Oh, the house will not sell itself, by the way.
You
It
told me
won't
that.
sell. I haven't told my mom that I think it's a fucking like that there like I think there's something up with it. Like because I think the property is not, what's the way to put this? Purposely irremarkable.
Interesting. Okay. Yes.
I think it is because it's in a great spot. The real estate's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about this. There's something about the house that's like it's a noteworthy house.
Yes.
But I just don't think it's like desirable.
Interest. Like in the sense that whatever energy is in the space is either like repelling people or putting a glamour on itself almost to kind of fade.
I think the latter.
Okay.
The house itself is for background.
Yeah.
I grew up in a lumber baron mansion in Bay City, Michigan that was built in like 1875, 1876, a while ago. And the original plot goes about a half mile in either direction. My family acquired the property in the mid 60s after the previous owner died. But the previous owner was a shut-in who was very into like he's a Golden Dawn guy. So like he was really into like brewing dandelion wine and like focusing his energy in all the rooms. So he had like all the rooms are squared, and then they all had copper wiring around them to focus energy.
Wild.
And like yeah. So yeah, he was like a hermit. He didn't have like any furniture or anything. That entire house was like empty. A lot of it was dilapidated because he had acquired it from auction previously.
Oh, okay.
Because way back when the 3rd floor burned down,
Mm-hmm.
the 3rd floor was this ballroom, and then it burned down during this party and it killed like 10 people. And then like when the 3rd floor burned down, the property went into like this kind of like the people who owned it didn't live there anymore, and it kind of fell apart a little bit. He was able to buy it on auction super cheap, along with the house next to it, which is a carriage house.
Oh.
That's a rental property that we still own. And so That property is also weird. I lived there for a little bit too. It's kind of odd.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Basement is strange. There's a fireplace down there. Don't understand why.
That's weird. Yes.
So much weird shit. Like we found like so when I was a kid in the basement of the main house, like we were trying to put some pipes in and we knocked a wall over on accident. And we found a room. And in the room is a bench,
Oh.
a workbench and stool, like a handmade workbench and stool. And on them is all these jars. On the benches were all these jars. And in the jars were pipe organ pads. But the room had electricity wired to it. There was a light
What?
into the room.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yes.
And then like we found tunnels that went further. Like we got into essentially our neighbor's basement. Like right up on it before we like stopped. But they kept going.
Oh my God.
No idea. My grandfather built a huge train set down there. He was very into it.
Of course.
So there was the steps up when the third floor burned down, they A-framed it. So it had a turret and then it burned down, and then they built the roof to have an A-frame. So it was 2 stories and a basement, and then my grandparents put an extension on for an art studio, like a sunroom art studio.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just like standard big weird house, super haunted. Lots of so I lived there. I've been going there my whole life, but I lived there from the 6th grade until my senior year, or until my junior year. And then in my junior year, I moved into the apartment building. And then my senior year, my mom bought a house. We moved out.
Yeah.
So I lived there for like 5-6 years. When I was a little kid, and then later, like a couple of times in my teens, where like I had some pretty hard hauntings. The big one was the guy who would sit on the edge of our beds. The hat guy.
Right.
Because you could only tell he was wearing a hat. He was wearing a student hat.
Oh God. Yeah.
And he would just sit on the edge of the bed. I thought this was just a thing I saw when I was a kid.
Right.
But it turns out my mother and her sisters saw the hat guy too. Which my mother and I discussed at length in front of my wife, and she was not like before we had to go and sleep in the house.
Oh,
and
no.
She was like, no. So there's a hat guy. The hat guy has no face. Never has a face.
Okay.
But it's distinctly a man. And he's distinctly wearing a hat.
Interesting. Okay.
And like we're not sure if he's tall or he just appears tall because we're always laying down, because he only appears if you're laying in bed.
Okay.
And he'll just walk up to the bed and sit on the edge of it. And he won't look at you at all. He'll just sit on the edge of the bed.
Okay.
Fucking weird.
It very, yes.
The second one, there's kids. I think there's 2.
Okay.
So you can hear them running around.
Okay. Yes.
Christmas, they run around. Christmas night.
Oh, interesting.
I used to think it was Santa Claus.
Oh my God. Of course.
For years, I thought it was Santa Claus.
Of course.
They're running around in the attic.
Oh my God.
So my theory is they died up there.
Yeah. Right.
In the fire.
Right.
Because like 10 to 15 people died up there. We're not sure. And then there's whatever stares at you when you go down the stairs. There's 2 sets of stairs that go from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor.
Okay.
No matter which one you take, when you're going down the stairs, someone watches you.
Oh my God.
And you never see them.
Yes.
But you know they're there. And like I've known it my entire life.
Oh my
but I think
God.
that there's a different person on each stair.
Really? Okay.
Because there's different energy to it.
I was gonna say, is there a different energy? Yeah.
The front stair is darker because there's no light up there.
Gotcha. Yes.
and it's carpeted, and I've fallen down those stairs a lot. We used to like, it's carpeted, so we used to like ride them.
Yeah,
a
of
lot.
course. Yeah.
So like that one feels weirder. But the back stairs are like more bare bones,
Yes.
and there's a light there, and that one like you can almost see somebody like as you're it's really weird.
Yes.
And then mirrors are bad in the house.
Really? What happens with mirrors?
You will always catch somebody.
Oh my God.
I'll always catch somebody. I used to in the library, which also used to be our computer room. There's there's a bathroom attached,
Yes.
and there's a mirror on the bathroom door.
Okay. Yes.
And like I used to purposely close the bathroom door when I was on the computer, because like it would be like the computer would be right in front of you, and then to your left would be the bathroom mirror. And I would see things moving in the bathroom mirror. So I would just, when I was in the room, I just close it.
Of course. Yes.
But the bathroom there is like weirdly huge. Like
okay.
it's just very large for some reason. Everything's just really spaced out.
Yes.
And then there's like a weird extra area, and so like when it's like dark in the back in a bathroom again, and so like if you're washing your hands or like brushing your teeth in the mirror, while you weren't staring directly in the mirror, you'd see things moving. That was very strange.
Of course. Yes.
And then like the just like nights where I was there alone that were just like odd. Just weird shit constantly. Never like confrontational. Never like you got to get out of the house, because like the first movie I remember watching was Amityville Horror.
Oh yes.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Which would always be my flavor for like how a haunting works.
Sure.
Like the ghosts want you out.
Yeah, right.
Get out, Josh.
They're mad.
Get out. That's James Brolin.
Yes.
The gooey footprints. We gotta go. Again, one of the first movies I remember seeing, which really explains a lot. And then he looks in that door and it's all like hell. It's like, fuck.
Right.
Man, what a great movie. Not for a child. I wouldn't recommend showing a child.
Probably not. No.
But in my head, that's what a haunting was.
Yes. Right.
Even as a kid.
Of course.
So when weird shit was happening, and it wasn't, I'm gonna kill you, get out of this house, I was like, all right, whatever.
Right. This is fine.
Well, I gotta sleep here, right? I'm a fucking kid. Like there's a guy on my bed, like, and like I said, until I was like an adult, I thought I was the only one seeing any of this shit.
Oh my God.
Because we never talked about it.
Right.
So like I just thought it was fucking whatever. And then like in hindsight, I realized I had seen like ghosts and shit prior as a kid. Like I had other like weird shit happen. And then I've since had weirder shit happen in Chicago, especially since I started doing drugs. Apparently drugs fucking open up your mind.
I know, it's such a shame.
And then like you do drugs at night in like weird historical places, and then like shit just like opens up.
Oh damn, right.
Like so like you start to like, I don't know, I just got kind of desensitized to it.
Well, yeah, it becomes an everyday thing, or at least a regular occurrence that you're not, and again, it's not being aggressive or malicious, so it just becomes woven into your life, I guess, right?
And it becomes like a weirdness that you're weirdly like, it's there, but you're not weirded out by it. I think later in life it turned into like me like going into like abandoned buildings and stuff, and like doing ghost tours and shit, just being like, oh, this is fun. Like,
of course. Yeah.
You get kind of not desensitized to it, but like it doesn't faze you as much. Because that shit's spooky and it's scary.
It is.
And like when you start to realize that things aren't working the way they're supposed to be working, it becomes unsettling. And like if I wasn't if I hadn't experienced those things at a young age, I think I would probably be more weirded out by them.
Yeah, of course.
But like, honestly, it's fucking horror movies. I'll like desensitize me more than like being around ghosts.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And then like reading some of this, I have
Yeah.
all of those occult books. I have them right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I brought them because like I went to Texas a couple years ago and stole them from my grandparents. And so like I have like the Magus. I have like the Occult History, the Random House Occult History, like the first edition of it. Very good.
Oh my god.
But then I have all these like new age, like hidden channels of the mind. Like
amazing.
Telepathy by Sybil Leek. And like all of these like yellow fucking paged garbage manuals for like shit. Because those were also in the library at my grandparents' house because they were left over from that dude that was there.
Right. Yes.
Again, my grandparents Catholics.
Yeah.
So for years I was confused as to why all these occult books were in their house.
Of course. Of course.
And then they were like, "Oh, those were just here." And I was like, "That explains a lot." Like,
yes. Oh my god.
It's good stuff. Invisible Residence is one that I actually like am into.
Yes.
Because do you know this one?
No, I don't.
Invisible Residence posits that there's intelligent life under the ocean.
Oh my god.
I think it's from like 1972.
Yes.
It's almost like a pamphlet. It's less a book than a pamphlet. But it like goes into like how there's overwhelming, like, you know how these fucking chariots, the gods fucking things are.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's overwhelming. Experts believe that.
Yeah.
No one ever had slaves, and aliens made everything.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching. I'm going to link to Logan, his Twitter account, and also the place that you can vote for his game for the Ennie Awards. Like I said, he's up for 2 different categories. Please vote for him. He's awesome. And you can even download his game. I'll put a link in the description for that too. So if you like role-playing games, you're all set this week. So thank you again so much for listening and or watching, and I hope that you have a playful and curious day.